Mic check, mic check. Morning Masters podcast. I was made, of course. Across me, I got a special guest, man. Vince Lewis in the building. How you doing?
Doing excellent, man. Doing excellent, man.
Clap it up for Vince.
Thank you for having me.
Talking off air before we started was really dope. I think one thing I think people it's lost art is actually just knowing the platform you about to come on.
Yeah.
I think people see the name, they know the name. I've been around for a little while, and they see certain people's episodes or clips of it, and they want to get on. But talking to you, it seems like you actually been watching for a while, and you know a lot about what I do in my line of questioning.
Sure, yeah.
So that's dope to know, because sometimes I ask people just the random stuff. Hey, what's your upbringing like? And I get, I don't know. I just
Huge fan, man. Huge fan. Like, for me, you were a guy from the area doing something, so I'm gonna always give it a shot. You know what I mean? I'm always give it a shot. And you had something that, like, kind of what we were talking about before the pod, like something that stuck to the bones. Like, you had some real content. It wasn't based off. Like, none of your stuff is aged. None of your stuff is dated. Like, if I watch something that you did in 2000, I can't tell that it was in 2000 because you weren't plugged into, what was hip that week and what everybody was talking about. Like, there are shows for that, don't get me wrong, but, if you consume X amount of content, some of that stuff you want to, make sure is actual,
I'm definitely glad you said that, because I think that's one thing I look at when I try to do stuff. I try to make it to where when I post a clip or something for somebody, only way they know it's dated is if you change, like, physically. I try to make it to where, like, every conversation can hit home 5 years from now, 10 years from now. It's not always gonna be that way, but I try my best, and I don't run with the hot takes. So that's how I try to talk
that's
about.
important to me, man.
Like, I think that's a live. Like, go live, do that. You know what I'm saying?
And not to mention that it's so many. It's only but so much you can squeeze that lemon, and you got You got all of your big markets, Breakfast Club, Ricky Smiley Morning Show, all the 101 talk shows and podcasts that's going to squeeze that lemon 1,000 times and repost and reclip. So, like, with all due respect, somebody like yourself that doesn't have as huge of a platform as them, how are you going to actually cut through
100%
all of that noise and still maintain some integrity? You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So, like, that was always one thing that I applauded about your platform. And still do.
Definitely try to be realistic. Like you said, you got platforms that's, like, huge. People got, like, a huge following. I'm based out of Augusta, so I'm kind of going my limit. Not that I can't do more, but the limit there is kind of the Augusta limit. Yeah. So, and then, you're trying to grab hold of everybody that's here, but, you got people that don't want to be here, people that want to watch this, watch that. So it definitely, for me, I think staying true to self is always, like, set me apart, as opposed to just jumping on the bandwagon or being part of drama. So,
that's all you got, too.
And I love it. I love every minute of it. So I know we talked a little minute, but once again, Vince Lewis in the building, right? Real quick, just tell the people, like, what you do, who you are, real quick, and we'll kind of start.
So I am.
Nice shirt, by the way.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Like, this is me.
I see what you're doing.
This is the forefront of who I am. You know what I mean? Child of God, most importantly.
Definitely.
So, and then I got a ton of ministries that flow out of me: teaching, training, coaching, mentoring, different things of that nature. So yeah, that's it, man. I'm a basketball junkie. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a brother. I'm a ton of things, and just try to be as good as I can at all of them.
Well, let's start with that, man. Let's talk about let's start with the upbringing. Like, where you from? That upbringing word is kind of giving me nightmares. I've been talking about it for the last couple days. I got you. Tell me your upbringing. Like, tell me where you from, when you was born, like oldest, youngest, siblings, mom, dad, type thing.
Gotcha. Yeah. So 2-parent home, mom and dad, military home.
Oh, yeah.
So mom from Memphis, Tennessee, dad from Bradenton, both Army. Bradenton is 8 hours away. Bradenton, Florida is 8 hours away. Memphis, Tennessee is 8 hours away. They fell in love, both 8 hours away, said Augusta gonna be the spot. So Fort Gordon was home for me. I was born on Fort Eisenhower at Eisenhower Hospital. So I'm,
you really are military.
For real. Like, how people from the A, like Grady baby, like I'm really from here, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so I'm the youngest of 4. which would later become 5. That's another.
How late are we talking though?
We'll talk about that if we get to that. But yeah, one of youngest of 5. I have an older brother that wasn't born in the house with that wasn't raised in the house with us that we found out about later.
Okay,
kind of thing. But for the most part, raised with 3 other sisters as the baby. Been in Augusta my entire life, bro. Like, again, military brat, but my parents were done with the traveling and the hustle and bustle of moving around and stuff like that. By the time I came, my mom was actually about to get sent off to what would later become Operation Desert Storm.
So, I'm sorry. So both of your parents in the military?
Both parents.
Oh, when you said, I'm thinking that one was, and
both
they just...
parents, yeah.
Oh, wow.
They met, they met at...
I have to, how I do my thing.
Yeah, they met at intake, bro.
Oh, let me hit that button. Yeah. All right. What was that like? Describe mom as a parent and then describe dad as a parent.
So mom was a little less militant because she didn't do a ton of time there.
Describe little.
Say again?
Describe little. Like, when you say little less, I feel like you mean not that much less, just
so
bearable, maybe?
Yeah. A little more gracious.
Okay, got you. Mom was mom. Got you.
Yeah. A little more gracious, a little more nurturing. And she came from a military home as well. Like her father, my grandfather was a military man. So I want to
guess your mom. Mm-hmm. Tennessee?
Yep, Memphis, yep.
I guessed right. They clap it up for me, man. I knew it. Shout out to your mom, man. Okay. Yep. What I'm talking about. I just wanted to I was trying to guess like who was less strict or less militant. I felt like Tennessee seemed like I know we know it for like the guns and violence right now, but I think overall we know it for being like still kind of southern and just
very, very much Bible Belt. You know what I'm saying? And she almost kind of grew up the more that I've gotten older, I asked those questions, and she's kind of grown up to become her mom. You know what I'm saying? Where it was kind of a stern, iron fist kind of household where her mom was able to kind of provide that balance of nurturing and caring and, that type of thing. So to answer that other side of the question, father was, just 3 years ago, left working on the military base. So literally my entire life, he worked on Fort Gore. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, up until about 2 or 3 years ago is when he left working on the military base. And he liked to believe that he didn't take a lot of that military stuff with him. But me and my siblings were different, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't super militant to the point where it was like, waking up with a whistle and that type of thing. But it was just like, both of them were very rigid in their ways. Father was very much a disciplinary. I got one whooping from my mom when my dad was deployed when I was like 7. And that was just kind of like, hey, you cutting it a little short. Pop's way in Germany. I got to get on you real quick because he ain't going to be here for the next 14 months or whatever that was. And that was actually the last time he deployed. I think my mom probably called him at some point that day and was like, yeah, I had to whoop Buddy. That's my nickname, by the way. Some people may know me as Buddy. Yeah, some people may know me as Buddy out there in Augusta or whatever. But it was like I had to whoop Buddy, and then I think that was his last deployment from there when I was probably like 7 or 8 years old. Yeah.
So I know you. I'm asking just for kind of just for like a better conversation, but when you say how is it versus like, because I grew up, my mother wasn't military, but and you still got some parents who aren't in military, but they very stuck in their ways, whatever. But like, what were some pros and cons of that? And I asked that just because, talking to you when we first came in. By the way, clap it up for him real quick. All right, podcast was set up for 7:30. 7:22, he was here. Clap it up for you, man. There you go. You gotta love it. You'd be amazed. All right. So I definitely was surprised by that, but yes, talk about that, the pros and cons of that, like growing up with the military parents, because you hear so many stories of like you can't do nothing.
Yeah. So it's funny because not only and answering your question, but kind of also leaning in a little more to the depths of my childhood, like The pros, especially being raised with a military father around his military friends, was kind of already knowing at a very early age what a real man looked like versus, you know what I'm saying, like what society was trying to make us believe what a man was, right? And so, you know, I didn't laugh about guys, you know, tucking their shirt in, looking clean, different stuff like that. You know, I was all for tucking the shirt in, looking clean, cleaning shoes, that type of thing. You know, learning how to shine my church shoes. So that was another big thing too, right? Like
Pride in the parents.
yeah, we were very much a Christian household as well. You know what I'm saying? Like probably the first place I went after I was born was probably church. I'll be totally honest with you. You know what I'm saying? So that was
Straight from Grady to church.
very much like straight from, you know what I'm saying? Like my parents had their time, but for the most part, like as we were raised in the church. I think my oldest sister was probably the only one that like after a while she kind of like, oh shoot, we go to church now, kind of thing every Sunday. But like me and my younger sisters, so my oldest sister Keisha is 42. Yeah,
Okay.
42. I hope I'm not aging you, Keisha. I think I may be a year or two off. Don't worry. But yeah, you know, so and then all of my sisters, Latasha that you know, Lou, she's 38, and then my sister is and I got another sister right behind her, 37.
Okay, hold up. I'm sorry. I'm okay. You the only boy?
I'm the only boy. Like I said, found out about a brother later in life that wasn't raised with us. He was raised in Florida.
Okay.
But once we found out about him, he would come every summer and kick it with us and stuff like that.
You the only boy?
Only boy in the house full of girls. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was that? Now I'm purposely leaving out the brother thing. I got that in my questions. I know, but I know when to ask that.
I got you.
But the only boy.
Yeah.
For some reason I don't, and maybe it's the way Latasha spoke. Mm-hmm. I thought she was the oldest. I'm gonna start there.
Nah, she not. She liked to believe so.
She told me she wasn't. I don't know why I thought that, but how she move and operate and talk and speak and how she's able to control a room of conversation.
Yeah.
I just felt like she was.
Yeah, like, and that's kind of one of those things too, right? Like kind of when we speak about the pros and cons of being raised around like rigid military parents, like I didn't get the opportunity to like, yeah, I came in the house, maybe, you know, because I went to Meadowbrook and I went to Morgan Road and I went to Glen Hills and those places. So that shows you who I was raised around, type of people I was raised around. So I could go to school and be like, yeah, what's up, bro, blah, 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 speak broken language, speak broken English, but I didn't get a chance to get away with that in the house.
Got you.
Right? Like my dad was very like, hey man, I ain't none of your dog. Like I still vividly remember
I like that.
the day I probably was like 10, 11 years old. And I walked in the house. I don't know what I was on, bro. But I walked in the house and my dad was sitting on the couch. I was like, what's up, dog? And I mean, I'm talking about like the cartoon, if his fist could have went through my body, it might have. And he's like, why ain't none of your dog? And I was like, oh, shoot, I'm tripping. You know what I'm saying? But that was kind of, that's
I
the house I was raised
I just
in.
want to know because like, I want to know like what you were going through that day to make you just so comfortable. Because how you saying that, I feel like you said it comfortably too. Like
very,
you just like
very
like you were
casual.
still outside.
Yeah, very casual. Just like probably came in the house from kicking it with my homeboys, playing basketball or whatever. I was like, "What's up, dog?" Or something of that nature. And next thing I know, like it was like I didn't see him get up off the couch. All I seen was me on the ground. He was like, "Boy, ain't none of your dog. Get up." And I was like, "Nah, I'm not getting up." He was like, "Get up." I was like, "Nah, bro, you gonna hit me again." You know what I'm saying? That was kind of that thing. So, you know.
Yeah, that's funny, man.
Yeah. It was very much like there was very much reverence and respect.
Yeah.
You're gonna speak the right way, you're gonna dress the right way. Like me and my siblings, we was actually laughing about that junk the other day. We was all together because they came in for the birth of my daughter.
Gotcha.
Just 3 weeks ago.
Congrats.
So everybody was around or whatever.
Congrats.
And we were talking about, thank you. And we were talking about like just childhood, always kind of reminiscing or whatever. And my parents were the type that like on Sunday, you ironed all 5 outfits.
Oh, this is real military.
Yeah.
Right? I was in military.
Yeah. And that
Fort Lewis.
very much. You know what I'm saying? And we were and we were known as that in the neighborhood. Like, you know, very, very, like I said, very rigid as far as the discipline was concerned, man. Very, very regimented schedule. We knew where we were going to be. Wednesday, we were going to be at Bible study. Sunday we were going to be at church. If I had a basketball practice, this, that, and the other. My sister had stuff. Both of my two sisters closest to me, the youngest of the two, both went to Davidson. So, they had all their different stuff that they had going on.
Why you didn't go to Davidson?
I flunked the test on purpose.
Oh, hold on. You got to hit
Yes.
that button.
Flunked the test
On purpose.
Yeah,
Your parents know this story, man?
Davidson didn't have sports.
Yeah, they still don't.
Yeah, Davidson didn't have a basketball team. And, me and Trevor Welcher have known each other for a very, very long time. Trevor was at Davidson at the time when he was in middle school.
Yeah, yeah.
And so my mom and dad were trying to use that as a selling point. Well, Trevor goes there and he still plays basketball. And I'm like, nah, I'm off that. You know what I'm saying? So, and eventually Trevor left,
Yeah, he
right?
did,
To be able to play middle school basketball. I think Trevor left in like 8th grade, I believe. But like that was there. So you can go and blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And I was just like, nah, I'm straight on that. So
Yeah,
in 5th
shout out to
grade,
Trevor.
when we had to go take the test to see if I can get in Davidson, I was like, yeah, I'm finna.
You remember your score?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't. It was one of them things where it's just like my parents kind of knew. Like they was just like, yeah, you ain't get in. And it was like, yeah, no, you didn't get in, and we know why you didn't.
Yeah, we know you want to go.
Yeah, I kind of expressed. That was probably one of the first times that I kind of expressed, because I don't know how you grew up, but we grew up in one of those like you don't really get an opportunity to really express how you feel. Is our way or the highway, because we paying the bills, and you can express, but just know. Yeah. You're gonna have to start paying some bills if you want to express a little too much. You know what I'm saying?
When the household, you say how you feel about something, they get the rent bill.
Yeah, like hey, take one. You know what I'm saying? So,
what was that like though? Like being younger, and I'm gonna get to more, but I'm just curious because and you seem well put together. And I think obviously I'm pretty sure your childhood is probably the reason why you are so well put together now, and just how you are as an adult.
Yeah, very much.
But when you were younger, did you look at with the other kids who were able to express themselves, whether at home or in school, like how I'm playing a picture. You know how you in school, and I feel like you know this. Like you see that kid who like spaz on the teacher. I ain't doing it. I don't want to. And you're like, oh, you can. This is a thing. You can do that. Like we can tell people we don't want to do something. Because in your household, that's not a thing. So you don't bring it to school. Chance. But when you see it in school, you're like, hold up now. Yeah. He done said he ain't even in trouble. Yeah. He back in here with us.
Yeah.
It's the 10th time in a year.
Yeah. That would have been.
So, like, how did you feel growing up? Like, did you already know growing up, okay, my parents are just different than other parents? Not all parents, of course, but, from your environment, because you did go to Glen Hills and the Meadowbrooks and stuff like that. So we know what that environment has as far as child-wise, but behavior and stuff like that in school. Yeah.
I mean, again, definitely seen it. It never enticed me because I wanted to live. You know what I'm saying?
Did they give you a speech? Did you have a speech on like to not bring certain stuff home?
Oh, for sure. Okay. Yeah, like my dad was very much like, hey man, like is two things we don't play in this house: lying and disrespect. Right? Like he always used to say, like, hey, you lie from me, you'll steal from me. And the moment that you steal from me, I don't care if you're my child or not, we got an issue. And so I already knew kind of not to go down that line, you know what I'm saying, until later. And maybe we may get into that, who knows. Yeah, and then the disrespect, like, but that just, I was never wired that way to where that was like, that was kind of a thing that I even wanted to do. Like, even like, oh man, I'm gonna do this for cool points or whatever that looks like. I was just, you know what I mean? Like I honored adults.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I honored adults, so that was never a thing for me to be like, cuss at a teacher, talk back to, adult or whatever that, this, that, and the other.
When you saw it, how'd you feel? Like, how did it make you feel?
I'd like to believe that I was like, no, man, don't do that. Maybe I probably laughed. You know what I'm saying? Because in the moment, it's funny. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then some of my homeboys, some of those guys that did that were friends of mine. And maybe I might, hey, bro, you tripping. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Especially at an older age, middle school, different stuff like that. Like, hey, bro, you That was a bit much, but
A little bit back to the family, like from the four of y'all. I ain't get to the fifth yet, but from the four of y'all, like what was your relationship like? What sister were you closest to?
It's crazy, man. Like throughout childhood, the one that was closest to me in age, which is my sister Candace that lives in DC right now.
Okay.
And that was like, it's funny because you know how you grow up in a house ain't huge. Some people gonna have to share rooms, this, that, and the other. And it got to a point because we lived in a 4-bedroom house. It was 4 of us. My older sister had her own room. I had my own room. Tasha and Candace shared their room. And it got to a point where my interests and Candace's interests were a little closer because Candace played basketball and all of that. And she went to me and her like wrote these, you know how you are when you're kids, man. We wrote a letter to my parents. Like, can Candace move out of Tasha's room? And me and Candace started sharing rooms. And you know what I mean? It was short-lived because of course, you know, she was a girl, so she had to like do the girl stuff. You know what I mean? And all that. She needed that type of privacy. But it was probably, you know, a little short-lived where Candace was my roommate and that was my homie. You know what I'm saying?
Like being younger, cause like I know one of your sisters, and I know not finished, but a more well-groomed product of her. I'm not from here, so I didn't go to school here per se, but I don't know her from 08, 09. Gotcha. I just know when she started making moves and what she was doing. That's all I know, right? Living with her, being that young, and being a younger sibling of hers, did you ever see that kind of spark or fire that she has
from a mile away, bro? From a mile away. Like Tasha, like my mom is ultra creative. You know what I'm saying? Like my mom is, she decorates events, weddings, different stuff like that. So she was never a stranger to like getting out there, like those church events and stuff. You know, the old praise dances, my mom doing the costumes and setting up the sets and all of that different type of stuff. So Tasha was always artistic. She was always and she would almost bully us into being artistic with her. Like, hey, give me that shirt, I'm gonna cut it up, or this, that, and that, you know what I mean? All of that different type of stuff. So you could see it from a mile away. We used to say she was adopted because out of all of us, like, if you look at me and you know my sister, right? You look at me and you're like, hold on, something a little, she's very light skinned. You're a little darker. You know what I mean? Like, so we would be like, hey, So Tasha was born in Germany. And so we used to pick on her and be like, Mom and them adopted you in Germany. And your parents are German and all of that.
The only thing I'm going to say is I don't know when the 5 came into play, but I'm pretty sure at some point them jokes was like, all right, we're going to chill on the jokes now. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Because that rocked the house, bro. That rocked the house. So, yeah, those jokes didn't go over as well anymore.
Oh, boy. Yeah. All right, so I want to get into a little bit of just... So you from here, you went to Meadowbrook, Brooklyn Hills. At what point did you start finding a love for the game of basketball?
If I was to tell you I actually remembered, I'd be lying. Makes
sense.
It was just one of them things where it was just like you kind of start seeing pictures. Like, dang, I was playing that early.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. So probably age of 5 kind of thing. Like as early as you can play rec basketball. I think I might have been 5, 6 kind of thing. And just always around it. My dad played in college. He played at Georgia State.
Oh, for real?
So it was just kind of one of those things where it wasn't really a choice of mine whether I was gonna play basketball. He was a basketball guy, so that was naturally what got put in my hand.
These the tough questions now. I gotta ask, like, how good were you? Like, were you that guy? Were you good?
Me?
Yeah.
No. I tell people all the time, bro, I robbed the bank. You know what I'm saying? Like 5'9", 5'10" on a good day, good socks, good shoes. Wasn't a great shooter. Could handle it, could pass it. You know, I could do my job as a point guard. I tell you like this, bro, my superpowers was my access. You know what I'm saying? Like the access that I had to older players.
Got you.
The access that I had to training and really good coaches. I knew what people were looking for. So, you know, I probably would never, you know, how I come up on Facebook and all of that, like who was the best. My name ain't getting mentioned in that. You know what I'm saying? But
I like the honesty though. Like, you rarely get that.
But college got paid for. You know what I'm saying? And so, well, what I did of college as far as before I left school, which we'll get into that, I'm sure. But, I scholarshiped out of my parents' house. I say that.
That's dope.
And so, for me, it wasn't never like, you ain't never gonna find no newspaper clipping of me, 23 points, Vince saves the day. You ain't never gonna find that. You know what I mean?
No game winners?
And I'd like to believe that I get respect from my peers. I think my peers know that I was a pretty decent basketball player, but I'll be the first to tell you, like, nah, I wasn't no all-star.
You speaking of that made me think about when we said Pig, but when Darren Shawn was on here and he said something, he said, it's sometimes it's the intangibles. It's like if it's how you approach practice. It's playing defense, picking up. It's being first in the drills.
Yeah,
those things you're also not gonna see in a newspaper clipping.
Yeah,
but it's things that a coach loves.
That's it.
So
sorry to cut you off, but being raised in a house with a basketball guy that coached, and his buddies by proxy were coaches, and being around the game, going to college, like my dad would take me to college games and, take me to all the high school games and stuff like that. I was, very, very young kid sitting sitting right behind Tony Mitchell and them bench at the Josie games, Josie versus Butler games, and, the Richmond games, watching Piggy, watching his older brother Derek, like watching all of those, Tyrone Hayes, like, of course, Tyshawn and those guys.
So let me just ask this. You mentioned a lot of players. If you can, I don't know, like, I'm gonna ask him when I do have him on at some point. But like, when you got the Tony Mitchell, the Pig, what was special about those guys specifically that you like from each player? Versus actually who was better? I asked a better question. Yeah. What was special about each one of them?
Yeah, like Tony. Tony was probably like the first. Of course, I had heard about the William Averys, the Tyshons, Vontegos, Ricky Moore, all of those guys. Got to give those guys their flowers. You know what I'm saying? Those guys were otherworldly to get recruited out of Augusta to such big schools without having to go prep. Besides Rick, like went. I mean, not Rick, but Will went to Oak Hill.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But those guys were otherworldly. But like guys like Tyrone Hayes and Tony Mitchell were the first superstars that I got to see. You know what I'm saying? Like they brought their fans with them to the gym, like you know what I mean, that type of thing, and like you got your money's worth. You know what I'm saying? Like Tony was gonna put somebody on the island. He was gonna score the basketball.
They say he's a dunker too. I heard he could dunk.
I don't remember a ton of Tony dunks.
That's what I heard.
I remember a buttloader. What was his name? Of course, Tony. Of course, Tyrone Hayes, high flyer. And they had another guy, Richard Wilson, I believe.
Okay.
He was, jumping. Different. Like, very, very different as far as bouncy and all of that different type of stuff. So, like, I vividly remember all of that. So, like, Tony was one of the first guys that I can say, like, as far as basketball, like, in our backyard, like, oh, I want to be that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, the handles,
That's a lost art real quick. Me and my brother had, because I'm not from here, but I did play, and me and my brother would do that when he came down. Like, whoever was hot or played real good in high school, when we play in the backyard, you kind of just say that person's name.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm Reggie, all this, and so you saying that, like, I wonder do kids do that now?
Nah, familiarity breeds contempt. They feel like they know him already.
Yeah.
Like I had to get close enough to Tony to meet Tony. You know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't just go follow him on my phone and feel like I knew who he was and what he was doing.
Knowing how his day
You know what I'm saying? That's why we fought. You know what I mean? Like if you ask all of those guys that grew up kind of like I did, where we, Friday nights, Tuesday nights, we were at the Saturday nights, we were at the basketball games. That's why we were fighting to either be ball boys for the teams or sit as close as we could to the bench because we was like, hey man, these dudes stars.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like we didn't hear a whole bunch of rhetoric on social media about how good they not or this person better or that person better. We didn't have to choose. It was like I'm a fan of Piggies, I'm a fan of Tony's, I'm a fan of this person, I'm a fan of that person. But yeah, Tony was my guy though. Like, and I, even as close in age as we are now, you know what I mean? Like both of us being peers and adults now, I still tell him all the time, yeah, bro, like you one of the reasons I hoop. I ain't scared to say that.
That's what's up, bro.
Like, got to get those guys their flowers, man.
Definitely, that's what's up. I was talking to him too about, how back in the day, it was a thing to want your name in the paper, in a chronicle. You wanted to score a point, 2 points, you don't care. I need my name in the paper.
Yeah.
And then like now it's to the point where we don't even really
Yeah,
check the chronicle out,
Yeah, because there's a highlight tape going to come out that I didn't even have to score the points because if I pay, like, and I ain't gonna put nobody on blast, right? But I'm in the space. I'm in the youth basketball space. But if my dad calls before the game, calls the video guy and says, "Hey, can you come get a shot of little Tommy?" Right? That $40 gonna get spent, or that $60 or that $80 gonna get spent, and they gonna make the most out of it.
Yep.
So they gonna film the shoes as they walking out the locker room. They gonna film them as they going through the layup line, and all of that different type of stuff. And little Tommy might have had 2 points from the free throw line, 4 turnovers, but you're gonna be like, dang, Tommy, nice. Right? Because, I can create that illusion with the camera where like I hate to say our day, but like before the advent of social media and the YouTubes and the highlight videos and all of that different type of stuff, like you just had to be that.
Yeah.
Like if you showed up to the game, like, you know what I mean? Like again, bro, I didn't play a ton in high school. Like I got, I was blessed enough to play on a really good team to where the work was done and I didn't have to do a ton of it.
Yeah.
So by the fourth quarter, I could probably get in there and kind of get my rocks off and maybe get 2 to 6 points or whatever that looked like. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Reggie, shout out to Real, shout out Chris, shout out to Jahad. Appreciate y'all doing y'all job, bro.
That's funny.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you a state champion.
Yeah,
you won
it.
a championship.
I got an A on the group project, bro.
Go ahead, scene.
I got an A on the group project. That's it, bro. Like, I promise you, bro. Like, that's one of the things. Like, my students even ask me sometimes, like, Mr. Lewis, like, because again, you know how you get better as you get older, right? And
just real quick, so you one of them guys. They say just got good. That was like a joke, I guess, for a little while. It was like, oh, he just got good, guys. Yeah. Nah, I got worse. Oh, okay.
Actually, you know what I'm saying?
Things happen.
Yeah, nah, it like I didn't. At a certain point, I was reading the tea leaves. I'm like, bro, I'm not getting no taller. I'm not getting no faster. I'm not getting no stronger. Like, let me squeeze this lemon as much as I can, but I'm not going to the league. So this 5 a.m. grind ain't for me.
Gotcha.
And I was a pretty good student. So I knew I was either going to scholarship out of my parents' house through basketball if I was blessed enough, which I was. But I mean, I had a good enough grades to where, I can get into college.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that wasn't my case where basketball had to be my end all be all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So what was high school like for you? I know you play, but like, how were you in high school as far as the, home life, student life? What kind of student were you?
I did enough to look cool in school and did enough to not get in trouble at home.
I like that answer.
You know what I'm saying? Right? Like I played that happy medium.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As much as I could if I could get away with skipping, I would, skip a little bit, class clown a little bit, joke a little bit, this, that, and the other, but I knew I couldn't take that type of behavior home. So, I was kind of almost that guy that was, in the back of class, yeah, ha, ha, ha.
Right in your nose, though.
Right in my nose. You know what I'm saying? Because I knew I couldn't go home and be like, Like, because my parents, and again, I had overachieving sisters too. So it wasn't like, I couldn't come home and be like, no, we didn't get report cards. They were coming through the door. Mama, look at my A's. And my parents were like, hey, where yours at? I'm like, I got C's. I got enough. You know what I'm saying?
And you at Glen Hills.
Yeah.
She got A's and she had Davidson. Like, come on, man. Tighten up.
So, yeah, and those only flew on progress reports. I bring home the progress report, C's. Parents like, hey, man, what you doing? Give me that phone. Give me that video game, take the TV out the wall, all that, and then boom, now we got A's on report cards, and then we cycle through it all over again.
Rinse and repeat.
Yeah, like my dad used to tell this joke all the time. He like, bro, you like an old Honda. Like you'll run, but you need a tune-up every now and then. You know what I'm saying? So I get you that tune-up, and you're good to go.
That sounds like a military saying.
Yeah,
that's funny. That's funny.
Bro. Very much. So yeah, that was me, middle school through high school.
Well, talk about, because I know you mentioned, like I said, you didn't play a lot in high school or whatever, but like your senior year, did you play like your senior year? Or?
So interesting enough, so my freshman year, I went to Aquinas.
What made you do that?
I was of course how Aquinas is now, well now, not now, but it's kind of fizzling out a little bit.
But you went there willingly? Like you wanted to go to
Yeah,
Aquinas?
yeah. So one of my dad's really good friends, Coach Zach Norris, who Piggy talked about in his episode, was the head coach of the Peach Jam team, the local Peach Jam team.
Yeah, got you.
He has a brother, Bernie Norris, who was the coach at Aquinas and coached all those guys at Aquinas, the Med Hills and all of those guys. And the first year that I went there was the first year that he got the job. And so I had played for him at Immaculate Conception, Catholic middle school
downtown, right?
Yep, I had played for him in 7th grade there because my parents didn't want me to go to Morgan Road. They were
hold up. Yeah, let's rewind. Let me hit this button.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right, so because you mentioned Meadowbrook, Glen Hill, I'm thinking you saying Glen Hills Middle. When you made this Immaculate Conception jump? Like when
So Meadowbrook, 5th grade, Morgan Road, 6th grade. Of course, 6th grade, you can't play basketball.
Back then, yes.
Then you couldn't. So, you play rec, all that different type of stuff. And then 7th grade, of course, I'm like, man, I'm, finna go play for Morgan Road, blah, blah, blah. And then that summer, my dad was like, hey, you want to go to private school? I'm like, I don't know about all that. And it's like, it's less of a question and more of a, checking the temperature because you are going. That's going to happen because, we kind of seen you dibbling and dabbling, not so much like on some reckless stuff, but like behaviors and habits changing.
Enough influence was put on you.
Behaviors and habits shifting a little bit, and they wanted to reel that in. And then it came with a good opportunity to play for one of my dad's friends, which is really, really, really good coach. Okay. So he was one of those guys that, because again, like I said, my superpower as far as basketball was access more than anything. And so to have access to such a great coach at such an early age that he wasn't like, we played little cupcake schools, the Curtis Baptists and Augusta Christians, Westminsters, Our Lady of Peace, Trinity on the Hill, St. Mary's, all of those teams. Is a little Catholic school league. And, I probably averaged like 24 points a game, not passing the ball a ton, all of that. But I was learning how to play the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Real quick, I'm sorry. This is important because I have this conversation with a lot of people. And just be free as you can. I know it's hard because you do train and says, I don't want you to say the wrong thing, but like, I'm going to be blunt and then you can answer how you want to answer. But me, from a spectator standpoint, I guess you let me know if you feel the same way from other players like that. I just never, and let me know if I'm wrong in feeling this way, but it was hard. Let me say not never. It was hard to respect players that played in that, I guess, side, like with the Curtis Baptist. And
it's fool's goal.
Like,
to answer your question.
I just felt like they ain't playing nobody.
It's fool's goal, 100%.
But then you'll have somebody that really be like, oh, but this person scored 24, and they'll really be talking to like, I'm like, bro, they're not playing nobody every night. Every night I'm out here playing dogs for real.
That's it.
So in some schools, the bench can start at other schools.
Yeah.
So you playing in public school, like you got Butler, you got your Joes, you got your Lane, you got your Richmond. Sometimes West Side, depending on the day, it depends. You got all that stuff, and it's like they really out here hunting every night.
Yeah. Real dogs.
I look at the other, it's like, I don't know.
It is a ton of things to that, right? My experience, and then I can also talk about like any kids that are experiencing that now, where they're playing in spaces where they're not being challenged, right?
Yeah.
When I went to Immaculate Conception, there was never a worry if I was going to make the team. Right? There was never a like, oh, I might get cut. Oh, man, am I going to start? It's like, I'm going to make the team. I am going to get the ball in my hand, and I'm going to do pretty much whatever I want to do with the basketball. You know what I mean? That just was what it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was never a worry, right? And so the games were a tad tough. I'm not going to sit here and say like it was just a walk in the park, because after a while, you know, word travels, a little dude, because I was tiny. You know what I'm saying? I was, seventh grade.
Scout report was out on
Yeah,
you.
7th grade, I was probably like 4'7". I was tiny, dude. Like,
Yeah.
So 4'9", something like that. So it was like, hey, put big guys on them, crowd them, trap them, all of that different type of stuff. But I was fast. I was able to get my stuff off. And I was out there, you know, shooting 24 shots in a middle school game. I'm supposed to have 27.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
At least.
You get what I'm saying? And I was the smallest guy on the floor. So if I hit the floor, I went to the free throw line, that type of thing. But you couldn't tell me that then, right? Then I was like, man, 27,
I'm
24,
that guy.
20. Yeah, like I'm him, right? And then I got a very, 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 very humbling experience going forward.
Talk about it.
I left Immaculate Conception in 7th grade and went back to Morgan Road in 8th.
And you made the team?
Yeah. Made the team. Started. Were some of those guys better than me? Probably. As far as physically talented and stuff, because I was still tiny. But again, that access, right? Like knowing how to play, right? Like at that time, especially at that point, there weren't too many guys that could fake the funk better than I could, right? It was guys that were way more gifted, but there weren't too many times that there were going to be guys that could dribble 2 balls at a time, because I was going through those drills.
The fundamentals.
With high level coaches and stuff like that.
How much were you averaging?
Maybe 8, maybe 11, somewhere in that ballpark. That was when I kind of fell in love with passing.
Public school do it to you.
Very much. Very much. It's that humbling experience of like, nah, this ain't you, partner. That 27. Yeah, this ain't that.
Granted, also, one thing I want to add too, that you let me know if I'm wrong, because I don't even go to them kind of games, so I don't know. But the crowd is different. You're not going to shoot 27 jumpers and think that them parents are going to say,
especially when your dad the coach too.
Yeah, Vince, come here.
Yeah, my dad was the assistant coach.
Other players on the team, you know that, right? Okay.
Yeah, my dad was the assistant coach.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I heard the rumblings in the hallways. I heard the rumblings in the locker rooms. I heard the rumblings in the huddles. Like, nigga, the only reason, you know what I'm saying? Sorry, but
no, I like that.
Like,
say it.
The only reason that you doing this is because your dad the coach, or, you know, XYZ, this, that, and the other. And so, you know, for me, I'm like, oh man, like, I'm listening to it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, like, nah, bro, I ain't that big, so I can't beat none of these dudes up. I need to start passing this rock, bro. You know what I'm saying? So
did you feel like you wasn't accepted at first? Like, you feel like they just...
Oh, it wasn't no at first.
Because I'm thinking about Coach Carter. You know,
yeah, it wasn't no at first. I don't think I was... I always heard the rumblings.
Oh, damn. Never got accepted.
But that made me into who I was, though. Like, I was like, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gonna sit here and be like, the 13-year-old Vince didn't go home and be like, dang, bro. You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of that led to like resentment toward my father. Like, hey man, just go home, bro. You ain't gotta coach me. You know what I'm saying? Because all of this is on you. Like, everybody keeps saying the only reason you start and the only reason you play that much is because of your dad. You know what I mean? Which may or may not been true. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? We can't go back and be like, hey, this dude was way better than you. This dude, like I said, physically, there were probably a ton of gifted guys, right? Like, I'll give you a perfect example, right? And you may or may not know this name, Tony McClendon, TJ McClendon.
No, I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, so bingo.
Sorry,
Perfect.
TJ.
Perfect. Yeah, TJ. And you may know him if you saw him, type of thing.
What high school you went to?
What time?
Oh.
Don't have me lying.
Okay. Yeah. Must have been West Side or something.
I don't know. But yeah, he went to Morgan Road, 8th grade. He was way better than me. Way more physically gifted than me. Grades. Right? And he'll be the first to tell you, I ain't telling his business. He'll be the first to tell you, like, little knucklehead, you know what I mean? Like, he was on a different type of time. So,
yeah.
like, are y'all also gonna give me the brunt of that? Like,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So
It can't be your fault that somebody else can get
bingo,
that grade
right?
right,
He
you know
made
what
the
I'm saying?
team, right? I got a chance. He made me better. I practiced against him every day. He was faster than me, stronger than me, was better than me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not one of those guys that's gonna sit here and lie to you and tell you like I was way better than I was. He was way better than me, right? But him challenging me every day in practice, me hearing the rumbles of you only this, you only that, because your dad, that put a bit of a battery in my back going forward. Like, hey, you got to get a little better. And of course, like I said, it was humbling because I vividly remember my very first public school game.
We got played. Murphy. Oh,
Murphy.
God.
Murphy.
Welcome to middle school.
Welcome to middle school, man.
That's rough.
Welcome to middle school at Murphy. At Murphy.
Jeez.
PJ. Robert. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man.
Jesus Christ.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
like
all of them.
Yeah. Like, and that was the first time
And it was
because
no
again,
joke.
I had done kind of played little, AAU-ish at that time. Like, it wasn't as big as it was at that age then, right? It was kind of more reserved for high schoolers. You kind of had YBOA and travel ball. Like, the furthest you went was if you made it to nationals, you go to Orlando. But for the most part, you were, back and forth to Atlanta.
I'm sorry. Did y'all win the game?
No.
Okay.
No. We didn't win a bunch of them.
But I just remember that Murphy team not losing a bunch either.
No, they did.
Yeah.
They did.
You got Head, you got PJ, you got RJ, you got Robert, like you said.
Robert.
So you gotta, and it was all just guards.
Yeah,
I'm just naming
that's it.
guards. That's lethal.
That's it. And they had, shout out to Ishmael. Ishmael was pretty good basketball player at that time.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So they had a
Tremaine.
ton of dogs too, right? And like I said, coming from a cupcake league, right, where everything was just kind of bells and whistles, and you know what I'm saying? And it was like that first play of the game was like somebody in your shorts and the crowd and you like,
Long
hey,
night.
Dad, can I go back?
Long night ahead.
You know what I mean? I want to go back to these 27. You know what I'm saying? And I'm at so it was that. It was, the guys over at Langford, Tim Daniels. Who else was on those teams? D. Curry, who I ended up playing with at Glen Hills, but he was at Tubman. It was a ton, everybody was pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Glen Hills had an amazing team. Glen Hills Middle had an amazing team that time. At that time, yeah. Darius Jordan.
Yeah, I played with Darius Jordan. I played
Darius Jordan, man. That was me and Darius grew up in Butler Manor together.
Let me ask you a question about Darius. Let me ask you just to catch you with it. Yeah. He had this crossover.
Bop.
And I still to this day have never seen a player
have between the legs.
I've seen him put some. We played Murphy. We had a JV game against Murphy to practice for the season. Whatever. Yeah. Murphy Middle School. That's how I tell you how tough they are, right? He did that bop, and the dude hopped to the damn bench.
Yeah.
He couldn't get it back. But that was just how he did it. He can do it at the drop of a dime.
Yep.
I could never. I don't know how he would get so low and do that.
Yeah.
I only see one person ever not get caught by that, and it was PJ.
Yeah.
He did it, and PJ made a face like, bro, stop playing.
Yeah, sat on it.
That's it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he was that deal.
He
was nice. I played with him. He was nice.
That was best friend childhood. Right?
Shout
Grew up two streets away from each other. If you heard a ball bouncing in the neighborhood, it was either me or him.
Okay.
And if I was in the house, it was his ball. It was his ball bouncing. I was running outside. Hey, Darius, where we going today? Goal was in front of my house. So everybody kind of came to my goal, and we had a cul-de-sac at the end of our street where we would roll my goal down to another guy's goal, and we play full court in the cul-de-sac
back in
all
the days.
day.
Talk about that a little bit. Kids don't play outside no more.
Nah, everything's
a gym, and everything has to be who's filming. Are there gonna be cameras there?
Yeah, so it's who's there, as far as players, and then it's also everything's cookie cut, bro. Everything. So I talk about this all the time to parents and other coaches and different things of that nature. YouTube, Instagram, all of those different things have stolen those opportunities from these kids.
Expound that.
What I mean by that, right? Going outside and playing with your friends, whether that was to a court in a park or, right in front of the yard, goal on the sidewalk, have to move every time a car come type of basketball. Like, those things don't live anymore because the everyday parent got access to what made a pro, right? And so the everyday parent had access to a day in the life of LeBron James, and different things of that nature. And so they seen LeBron working with a team-issued trainer from the Cleveland Cavaliers, right? And so they said, oh, shoot, if my son gonna be LeBron James, he got to get a trainer. They're birthed trainers. Your everyday trainers, not trainers that are, that are assigned to college teams, pro teams, this, that, and the other, but like your everyday trainer. And I'm not knocking the profession because I'm in it,
a trainer,
right?
but you can't knock yourself.
Yeah, I'm not knocking it, right? But it did open the door for guys like myself to be able to train a 7 or 8 year old kid on how to play the game versus them kind of quote unquote getting it out of the mud like we did. And there's pros and cons to it, right? Those kids don't have a ton of bad habits like we developed in the street. Right?
Okay, I can see that.
Right. But the other part of that, they don't play enough and they don't know what works.
Not as competitive either.
Yeah, it's not as competitive. Everything is age-based, right? So, when I came out in the street at 11 years old, 10 years old, and I played, and it was somebody 15 years old, it wasn't like you got to go to the 15U court.
Yeah.
I had to play or get off the court.
Yeah.
Right? And so, and if somebody came out there that was fresh from college, like Tony Keller grew up
shout out
the
to Tony.
street over from there. So it was my street, Darius's street, Tony Keller street, right? And so Darius and I are same age. I got a chance to, be able to spar with him on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying? That made me a better basketball player playing against him on a daily basis. And then you had Tony Keller, who was older than us, that would come around. And, of course, you have other neighborhood guys that didn't make the basketball team and stuff like that, but they were nice.
Yeah.
Right. And those are the guys that probably could have benefited from a guy like me because I would have been able to cut some of the fat out of their game and they would have been able to make a basketball team. However, they were raised by other guys like them that said, dribble the mess out of the basketball, shoot bad shots, throw fancy passes. And then you got another coach on the other side that's like, I don't need none of that.
Yeah.
And so imagine telling a kid that busts everybody up in their neighborhood going to a tryout and says, yeah, you ain't good enough. You're not one of the best 12 guys. Like, I'm the best in my backyard. What you mean? It's like, nah, but you don't know how to play, right? Being able to play and knowing how to play, two totally different things, right? Two totally different things. You know what I'm saying? There's a ton of people that, like, can cook. That don't mean the food gonna be good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you can open the box, get the ingredients, all of that different type of stuff. Turn the stove on, mix it up, boom. Whatever product you're gonna get is based off how well you're able to do it. So there's a ton of guys that can play basketball. There are very few that know how to play basketball.
I was gonna say, fundamental is like very essential. Having fundamentals. They say reading is fundamental, and that's true. It's essential, but you look at what fundamental is to the game. You look at somebody who has like just God-given talent, height, size, and they good. That's what's up. But put them with a trainer, it's like they out of here.
That's it.
They gone because now they have all the intangible things as well. Whether it's discipline, whether it's playing defense, shooting smart shots, controlling the ball, handling the ball well, rather than just dribbling all the time.
Bingo.
So we grew up on different things too. Maybe N1 mixtape wasn't the best thing.
Heck no. That was
but
awful.
at the same time, that's what we did, and then you kind of from there you groom and you get better and you better.
We grew up in the age of the crossover.
Definitely, that was the main thing,
right? And so you try telling kids that are trading their N1 mixtape DVDs back and forth throughout the neighborhood. Hey, that ain't basketball. Like dribbling the ball 20 times in a possession, that's not actual basketball. It's like, nah, they do it.
Yeah, for real.
And there were some of us that knew, like my dad would, almost pop my hand every time I popped one of them videos. And like, hey man, you stop watching that clown crap, man. I'm like, nah, but this is, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that constant juxtaposition of what they doing outside versus what's going to actually work on the court. And I'd like to believe that I made a little sense out of it as I got a little older too.
I mean, you
know
could
what I'm
definitely
saying?
blend the two. The two.
Yeah, for
I mean,
sure.
we seen Raven Austin. You know, they said you can't make it, but he made it. He actually was a
Yeah.
decent point guard in the NBA.
Yeah.
They knew what he could do. You know,
But
so.
you even look at his backstory, right? Who was he trained by? Right? He grew up in the court.
Yeah.
He grew up at the court, but he was trained by Vincent Smith, Kenny Smith's brother.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, and I think that's I say this all the time, right? You got a ton of kids out here that are 7 years old that have a basketball in their hand and they learn how to dribble and run before they learn how to properly run. Right? Because of this infatuation with training. Right? And so we learn how to run by going outside and playing hide and go seek.
There you go.
Right? That
Yeah.
and we were by mistake being trained. Starting, stopping, cutting, juking, jumping over fences, all of those different things, all of those different skills, all of those different like naturally athletic things that we were just kind of figuring out we could do in real time. Those things were like those things have been robbed from your everyday kid nowadays. You know what I'm saying?
I want to ask you something. I want to get at the training at some point too, but like
Mm-hmm.
I do want to ask you, like, so you said that you you played through college and all that stuff, and you won a state. You was on you got an A on a group project. What college did you go to? Like, what was your career like after high school? So high school done, you got a scholarship to play basketball. Was it academics?
Yeah. So
And where was it at?
How we got to the Aquinas thing, you asked me, did I play a bunch my senior year? I didn't play at all my senior year. So
And you still got a scholarship?
I still got a scholarship. Still got a scholarship. Didn't play at all. So I actually did what they call timeout. Right. So my freshman year, I went to Aquinas. When I transferred from Aquinas, my credits didn't transfer seamlessly. Right. And so there were certain courses that you took at Aquinas, like religion and multicultural and different things of that nature, that Richmond County didn't accept as credits. Right. And so you pass English, you pass math, you pass biology as a freshman, and then you transfer to Glen Hills, and you didn't take all of the other courses that another freshman at Glen Hills or any other Richmond County school would have taken. So I got called into the guidance office, and they were like, yeah, you're just a freshman with a good bit of credits. You're not a sophomore. And so I was like, okay, cool. So, again, I started school early. So I'm younger than my peers. I'm younger, like I was technically supposed to graduate in 2008. I'm a year younger than all of those guys.
Got you.
And so once I had that conversation, of course, the guidance counselors called my parents and was like, hey, this is what your son's up against. He could easily go to, summer school and get caught up, but he would have to go to summer school every year of his high school summer.
That many classes? That's insane.
Yeah, it was 4 classes that I was short. So I would have had to go to summer school every year of my, you know what I'm saying? Barring that I didn't fail classes in regular school, which I went to Glen Hills, I did, right? Like, at least a semester or whatever that looked like. So, so me and my parents sat down and they were like, well, I mean, technically you started school early. That's the class you're supposed to go with. What you want to do? And I was like, well, I'll just stay here. It's fine. I don't want to go to summer school all summer. I do want to play AAU basketball. That might cut into that, blah, 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 whatever. Hindsight 2020, it worked out in my favor, of course. So senior year, I didn't play. Coach,
but why? I understood the story, but I'm not saying why you didn't play.
I timed out, right? So you have, soon as you hit high school, you got 4 years to play.
Okay.
Right. And so when I got to
Aquinas,
Glen Hills.
You was freshman again in Glen Hills, I guess.
Yep. Freshman again, sophomore, junior. That's already 4 years.
Should have mapped that out. Well, I guess it makes sense because you're junior, you want to get that state championship.
So, yeah. I didn't think that 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 was gonna backfire against me because Aquinas was a private school.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that counted against me as far as my clock. I had heard some people say, "Oh, you'll be good. They'll let you play," and I had heard some people say that's a part of your clock. And then, of course, rest in peace, Coach Quarles. He called me in the office, and he was like, "Yeah, you're done after this year, right?" I was like, ugh. So, of course, at that point, I'm having a conversation with parents like, "Hey, what are you gonna do? You want to go prep? You want to try to, try your hand at some other places? Go to a prep school or whatever that looks like." And I had some opportunities, which are longer stories that we don't necessarily have to get into, but I had an opportunity to go to a prep school in Orlando and move with my aunt in Orlando. But that coach lost the job, right? And so he ended up losing the job for some other stuff, ended up landing on his feet at Mount Verd. But of course I wasn't Mount Verd good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's like, "I can get you here, but you're gonna have to pay for everything." So the school that he was at, it was more so like, "Hey, I get you in, we'll get you some money." My aunt, she does well. She's got a really good job. She like, "Hey, I foot the bill on whatever, whatever that is." And so I was gonna do that, but he lost the job. So by that time, I had came back to Augusta, and first day of school, I didn't go to school my senior year because I was still trying to figure out like
What you were
going to
do.
And a couple of my homeboys called me and they was like, "Hey, bro, where you at?" I'm like, "Man, I should go to school." So I was like, "Hey, man, it is what it is." And I had already come to I had come to grips with I'm not finna be no pro.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
You found that out early on. You knew you was gonna
Yeah, bro, come on.
Couldn't tell you that at Immaculate Conception though.
Yeah. No, I was on my way, but after a while of like sitting on the bench and all that different type of stuff and stuff just not working out, like and I was able to play some pretty good AAU basketball. I played with the Georgia Stars, again, access.
Yeah.
Right, dad knows a person, blah blah blah.
I feel like
kind of get through the door.
People gonna watch this, and anytime you say access, they're gonna say dad provided.
Hey, it is what it is, bro.
Which I'm gonna get to that later. But I do want to ask because you answered a lot, but you didn't say. But how did you get a scholarship for college?
Okay, so again, going back to it, access.
Okay.
Right. Rest in peace, Gerald White, good friend of my dad's. Again, as I got older, became a good friend of mine. We became peers. In that space, he was the first person to pay me for coaching. But he hit me up and he was like, "Hey, I know what's going on with you. I just need you to be ready. I know a good bit of coaches. They're gonna let me know when they having their tryouts, and you're gonna show up and you're gonna make somebody team." Right. And so I missed my senior prom to go to a college workout. So I went. Actually, it was at the school that I ended up going to. It was for all of the junior colleges in the state of Georgia. And so they had it at South Georgia Technical College that year because they had won the conference that year. So they had it by default at their school, which turned out to be perfect for me. We'll get to that in just a second. So I got a chance to go there. I played really well. Again, I did my kind of like, I'm a pass first guy. I'm a set everything up, make everybody happy. I ain't gonna shoot a ton of shots.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Facilitate.
Bingo. So I did my thing. Coach pulled me to the side. Maybe like 3 or 4 coaches pulled me to the side and was like, "Where you been? Like, where you been?" And I'm like, "What you mean? Where I been at?" And they're like, "Oh man, what high school did you play for?" I'm like, "Glen Hills." They was like, "What kind of season did you have this year?" I'm like, "I ain't play." It's like, "Oh, that's what we mean. Where you been at? Like, we ain't seen nothing about you, heard nothing about you, whatever, blah, blah, blah." And again, I didn't have a ton of high school stats to be able to hand them, right? So the last time that I had probably scored double digits was like against maybe a West Side in a blowout game in Glen Hills. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of thing. So it wasn't like I was going to be on some, and no shade to West Side. This is what it is. Y'all know what y'all was at that time, bro.
The best side.
Yeah. So, it was kind of one of those things where they looked and they were like, "Hey, man, you kind of diamond in the rough, but we just don't got no spots." Like guards guards get signed first. Guards a dime a dozen. Guards get signed first. We ain't got no spot for you, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. I'm like, all right, cool. So at that point, this is April, early May, around prom time. So late April, early May. I'm thinking I'm gonna go in there, get me a scholarship, nothing. I had kind of a handshake deal with a school in Bradenton, Florida, junior college in Bradenton, Florida, handshake deal kind of thing.
Where your dad
that went
from?
south. Bingo.
Access.
Bingo. Access. One of my dad's buddies. He was a college coach, and had a handshake deal with him. It went sour because he wasn't interested in signing any more out-of-state kids because it was gonna eat up his funds. Because of course, out-of-state kids cost more. So he's like, you from Georgia, I can get a ton of you right out of my backyard in Florida. 5'9" guards ain't hard to come by. So if you're gonna cost me more, I might as well go with the cheaper version of you. I get it. It's business. You know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to Coach Wright, my college coach. He used to say, hey man, it ain't personal, you just happen to be a person. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just is what it is. And so still vividly remember the day I got the call. It was early July. I was outside cutting the grass before I could go play basketball. Still at 18 years old, graduated high school, all that. My dad like, hey, before you go to that YMCA and play basketball, that yard need to be cut, right? So I'm outside cutting the grass. My phone rings. Pick up the phone. It's what would become my assistant coach. And he's like, hey, what's up? It's Vince Lewis. I was like, yes, sir. He was like, hey, what you doing for school? I was like, I don't know. I still ain't got nothing. He was like, hey, check this out. The point guard that we signed, he got a girl pregnant. His parents are making him go into the military. We got a spot. So what I need you to do is I need you to pack all your stuff like you're coming to school. And you're going to work out. And if we don't like you, you're going back home. If you do, we're going to keep you. And I was like, oh, I cut that lawnmower off. I went inside. I told my dad, I was like, hey, I got to try out tomorrow. And so I started packing all of my stuff. And I still vividly remember the day. My mom came in and I'm like packing all my stuff up. And my mom was like, hey, baby, just pack a bag. And me and your daddy can bring you your stuff if they keep you. Like, but just pack a bag. And I'm like, man, she don't believe in me, bro. Like,
she don't know you him. She don't know.
Hey, I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm like, at that point, that's even more of a chip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not coming back home. Once I get in that car, that's gonna be my last time coming back here and calling this quote unquote home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I packed up my stuff, went in. He put me through an individual workout first. And his first thing he said was, I didn't see you shoot the basketball none when I seen you in April. I need to see you shoot the basketball. And anybody, you can ask anybody, Vince ain't never been known as a shooter. I shot the piss out of the basketball that day. Damn. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it was. And this ain't no Stephen A. story he talked about, right?
You just won that scholarship.
You
weren't trying to go back home, man.
Bro, come on. So I shot the mess out of the basketball. The other guys came in because all of the guys, freshmen included, had already reported. They had been there for a week. And so everybody had already reported. And they came in on the back end of my hour-long workout, and he was like, now you guys got to play 5-on-5. And then that's when I kind of did my Vince thing, got everybody involved, threw some lobs to some big guys, on time, on target to some shooters. And coach called everybody in and was like, hey, what y'all think? And the guys was like, let's keep them.
Yeah.
And so, that's how I got to college.
That's what's up, bro.
Dripping sweat after a 3-hour workout.
And where is this at?
South Georgia Technical College in Americus, Georgia.
Americus?
Yep, Americus, Georgia. Yeah,
it's a small place.
Very tiny. Very tiny.
Small place.
Yeah, so
wow.
Since then, Christian Nobles ended up going to South Georgia Tech when he went JUCO. And then J-Lax Ewan, bouncy kid from West Side. He's there now. Yeah, and then another kid that I coached out of Atlanta, Clark Matson. He's there. So it's pretty dope to not know nothing about a school. Like I ain't even know, when coach called me, I didn't even know what the mascot was, bro. I was just like, hey, opportunity to play.
it's just I like you telling that story, but it's like I see a tale of so many different tales because I got a brother, of course, he was pretty big time as far as
Very familiar with your brother, man.
And then you had Pig on, and I talked to so many players who their background is different from yours, where it's like they were the guy on the team. You know what I'm saying? They have like goals they want to do for I want to play here. I want to play here. You had Sean say he want to enter in certain calls. And here you are. I'm trying to get a call.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. So to watch your approach to that is dope to hear that story. But you said you even though the mascot, I'm just hungry for a school.
That's it. And it wasn't like, Google was a thing, but I wasn't even concerned with like, hey, what? Tell me what the campus life is like. I didn't Google it before I went there. I was just like, hey man, pack that car up. Me and my dad rode out.
And what was that like? Like, what was your time there like? Cause did you go anywhere else? You just
yeah. So I did 1 year there. Had a pretty decent year there. We didn't win a ton because we had a bunch of freshmen, right? Like they were really good the year before. They graduated like 9 guys from a junior college, which is a lot. Jay Crowder, NBA guy, he was there the year before.
Okay.
He was supposed to return the year that I came, but he ended up going to a different junior college.
Smart choice.
Yeah. Just at that time, South Georgia Tech wasn't readily accredited. So like you had to have graduated and have an associate's degree in order to go to a 4-year school.
Got you.
Right. So he already kind of knew that. He did the math on that. So he left and went to Howard Junior College in Texas.
Okay.
So that he would seamlessly be able to go to another 4-year. Second.
And what about you?
So I went to Morehouse.
Okay.
I went to Morehouse after that.
Clap it up for Morehouse, man. Clap it up for Morehouse.
Yeah, so I went to Morehouse after that. One of my high school
MLK vibes too. Like I get that from you. Yeah. So shout out to Morehouse.
Yeah, man. So ironically, bro, like kind of same situation, like back against the wall kind of thing again. After our freshman year, after me and all of my teammates that were freshmen, after that season, coach kind of all called us into the office one by one and was like, yeah, I ain't bringing none of y'all back.
Oh, damn.
Only one freshman came back that year. He started from scratch. And I don't know if his back against, knowing what I know now, right? His back was probably against the wall to get wins and all of that different type of stuff. And we probably wasn't the guys that was going to get him those wins, especially coming off a Final Four visit, right? National Final Four visit with those, with those juggernauts that he had the year before. So he was just like, yeah, I got to get some different guys. So here I am back at home, not knowing what I'm doing. Like, oh, here you go. And guy named Sean Allen, shout out to Webby, played on the state championship team with us. He was at Morehouse at the time. And he called me. He was like, hey, man, what you doing, man? I was like, I don't know. He was like, hey, bro, our coach just let everybody go except for 4 guys. We got an open tryout. You should come. So while that's happening at South Georgia Tech, one coach letting everybody go, door opening for some more guys that's probably looking for a situation. Same thing happening at Morehouse, right? Coach Cleanhouse only returned 4 guys. I think he returned Webby, scholarship guys anyway. He returned Webby and 3 seniors.
So what you had to go out there and do a tryout?
Go up there, try it out. Again, did my same, share the basketball, make everybody else that was kind of my thing. I'm like, man, if I can win the players, I'll win the coach. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? If I can make him believe that I make their jobs easier and I make his job easier. Because again, like I already knew I was destined to be a coach as far as my IQ was concerned. Like I just knew the game, watched the game consistently, studied the game. So it was an easy transition into coaching for me. But, being raised in the house with a coach, his friends being coaches, all of those different things, like I knew all the patterns. I knew the plays. I knew this. I knew schemes, all of that. So I just kind of put that on the floor. And, of course, the old saying, a point guard is an extension of the coach on the floor.
Yeah.
I just showed that every time I got a chance, right? And whether I was extremely talented or not, I did that, and I knew coaches would like that. And so that's how that worked out for me. I went in there, did that. And our coach was just like, hey, you know, we'll figure out something for you. We'll find some money for you. And that's where, you know, those military parents making sure I did what I needed to do in the classroom came in handy, because I left South Georgia Tech with a 3.6 GPA.
Oh, that's what's up.
Right.
That's what's up.
And so they like, hey, we can get you this, we can get you that, and we ain't got to have a ton of money for you, right? So I didn't have a full scholarship, right?
But you were playing basketball going to school.
I was able to get some money from the school because of my GPA, and different things of that nature. And then, of course, you know, parents make it work and make it all make sense or whatever. But again, as far as basketball career at Morehouse, that was very short-lived because of some other stuff. Like I said, you had to be readily graduated in order to step onto a 4-year school and play. And so by the time I got to Morehouse, once my coach seen my transcripts, he like, hey, you gotta, like, we gotta get you some more classes before you can play, right? And so I had to do pretty much a whole year in the hole
Gotcha.
as far as academically.
But you was at
to be
Morehouse
ready to
doing
play.
this.
Yeah. Practicing with the guys, the whole nine. You know, sat on the bench, traveled a bit, and then that summer going back, got injured.
Oh, damn.
And then at that point, I was just like, I'm good. Because by that time, I was done with it anyway.
So you never got a chance to play for them.
Nah.
But you on a team and you.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So,
Did you graduate from Morehouse?
no.
Okay.
Nah, so once I got injured, that scholarship money went away. Like all of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because he like, hey, we can't be just dishing out money to a guy who can't play. And he didn't tell me. It was just like a letter in the mail that's like, hey, yeah, this is what it is. And of course, Morehouse is a very, very expensive school.
Yeah.
And my parents got jobs, but they ain't rich.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't finna put that burden on them. So that was kind of when I thrusted myself into the workforce, trying to just figure that out.
What was that like? Because going from playing sports all your life and now you're working, what was that like? Like, what was your first job, workforce job?
Go figure out how I can continue to do sports and get paid for it. So I did camp counseling.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I did some little odd jobs before that. Like I went back to Atlanta because I was like, I wasn't finna stay in Augusta because, you know, the shame and all of that different type of stuff. Plus, you know, just didn't want to be up under my parents' roof at that point. So I went back to Augusta. My sisters were there. They were in school there. So I was like, you know, I'll sleep on one of their couch until I get a job and we can, you know, kind of figure it out together. So we all ended up, me, my best friend, Marcus McDaniel.
Well, he could shoot.
Yeah. Best shooter that I've ever seen with my own two eyes. Marcus McDaniel and then my two sisters, we got a 4-bedroom house together and we toughed it out. You know what I'm saying? So I had little odd jobs. I worked for FedEx. One of my buddies was working for FedEx. He was like, hey, I can get you on. I went out there. I moved up quick because I got there and my AAU coach was working there. Darnell Sexton, which is Colin Sexton's dad.
Oh, for real?
Right? Yeah, so he was working at FedEx at the time. And I'm up there, you know, throwing boxes or whatever, and he ride through on the forklift. He like, hey, man, come here. And I'm like, hey, he was like, hey, man, you know I can get you on the forklift. I'm like, that's a dude's dream, bro. Like, get off this line. All these dudes yelling at you about you ain't moving them packages fast enough. I can get on this forklift. Like, cool. So I probably did the forklift for probably like a week. And then I dipped because I got tired of waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning doing that, you know, just to have enough money to, you know, party and drink and pay my bills or whatever that looked like. It was like, all right, cool.
You had mentioned earlier, you were like, you know, we went to Atlanta because Augusta and just the shame, that and third. Like, I wanted to speak about that a little bit, like the process of when the ball stopped bouncing, like that process afterwards. So what's that like? What was that like for you? Like the ball stopped bouncing, I'm injured, I ain't playing. That's that dream as I knew it. Even the window I thought, maybe if I did this, it's all over now.
Yeah.
What's that process like trying to?
So for me, like I said, I had already come to grips where I wasn't finna go pro. You know what I mean? So like that was a dub. Like I already knew that wasn't gonna transpire. However, again, I said I started playing basketball at 5. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
so much of my day-to-day routine of like, and I think people gets lost in translation when you talk about like athletes going back into the real world.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, what you mean the real world? And it's like, not staying after school and having practice and not having, like, we're very much spiritual beings, bro. As human beings, we're very much spiritual beings. And so, like, our spirits get attached to routines in seasons, right? And so, yeah, so like, you know, our body is like connected to those habits. You know what I'm saying? Like, once the air starts smelling a certain way and the ball start bouncing and you know what I mean? Like, football season over with, our bodies go as basketball players, as career basketball players, career athletes, lifetime athletes. Our bodies go into basketball mode, right? And so when, you know, September, October start rolling around and you're like, hold on, I ain't, right? And it's very hard. Like, we can ask anybody, right? Don't none of these guys, as much as Augusta have 1,000,001 men's leagues, yeah, guys miss the game, but they don't miss the practices and the 5 a.m. runs and the weightlifting. The reason why guys still play the game is because they miss the camaraderie of the locker room.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They miss the routine. They miss, you know what I'm saying? They miss the competitive nature of being able to, you know, get up and down the floor and talk a little trash or whatever that looks like. And so once I heard, it didn't make a ton of sense to me until I heard another athlete say it. The reason why most athletes struggle with entering back into the quote unquote real world after being athletes for so long is because the game is done with you before you're done with it. Right? And so a lot of times you don't mentally prepare for when that ball is going to bounce. And, you know, people say, oh, play every game like it's your last. I am a perfect person to tell you, like, I didn't know my last competitive game was going to be my last competitive game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I wasn't ready to be like, oh man, basketball's over. Let me, you know, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. But I knew that I had a skill in basketball.
Yeah.
By just being able to know the game, talk the game. Like when I was at Morehouse, that was the first year that Spike Lee had started the sports journalism program at Morehouse. And so I minored, it wasn't a major yet. I think it's a major now if I'm not mistaken, but that was the first year. So they had it as a minor. And so I did a lot of the little programs and was able to go up to, you know, go up to Turner Sports and watch them kind of do the whole, you know, Shaq Kenny and NBA Inside Sports, watch them, you know, do all of that stuff. So that was what I wanted to do. And then, of course, you know, life's. And you pivot and you kind of figure it out. And so, like I said, other than the odd jobs, I was like, you know, again, shout out to Gerald White, one of the first guys to pay me to do basketball and, you know, I coached one of his little all-star games. Well, not little all-star games, but coached one of his all-star games up in like the Atlanta area, some middle school kids. And I was like, oh man, I could be good at this. Like, you know, the kids kind of, you know, received what I was doing. And, you know, I felt like I had a coach's voice and all of that at such an early age. I was like, oh man, I think I can do this. And then, you know, the best advice that he gave me, he was like, figure out a way to stay on scholarship.
I'm about to pivot. I want to pivot to two things because I want to get to. I want to ask some questions about training.
Yeah.
But I told you I'll come back to it. That's why I write stuff down.
Yep.
Find out about later. I want to get that out the way first. So you have a brother.
Yep.
Okay. It's, out of the 5 of y'all, what number is this brother?
So my mother brought a child into the marriage, which is my older sister.
Okay.
Right. And then.
So she came with one already.
Yep. Came with one.
Okay.
She was back in Memphis with my grandparents when my mom went off to the military.
Okay.
And so once her and my dad met, they went to Memphis, got my older sister. Then I think Tasha was already born at that point.
Okay.
And they came back from Germany, got my sister, and then that's when they kind of start settling in here. in Augusta. They were still kind of doing a little bit of moving around or whatever, but for the most part, that's when my sister came into the fold, and that's when the family, as they know it, started. But little did my dad know, he brought a child into the marriage as well. He just didn't know about him until he was 14 years old.
Got you. Okay, so he didn't catch 14.
Yeah.
Well, how did that affect you at all? Like,
It was, I wasn't old enough to like really be affected by it. It wasn't like, I was excited. I'll be honest with you. I was like, oh shoot, I got a brother now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I thought he was gonna move in with us and all of that different type of stuff. He stayed with his mom in Florida.
Yeah.
He would come home, you know, live with us during the summertime and stuff like that. You know, but that was just kind of what it was. But you know, so much of his decision making and who he was and all that different type of stuff had already been established at 14. So he and I didn't have a ton in common at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Did you play basketball?
Nope. Didn't.
Oh, wow.
And he's way taller than me, so you can
damn.
imagine. Yeah, bro. I was like, man, this nigga got
was
all the
pissed,
height.
right?
Yeah, nigga, like, come on, bro. You don't even do nothing, bro. You just cool. You know what I mean?
Boy.
Just cool dude.
But that was good. But also, you said a few things during this episode I wanted to talk about it because it matched other things going on. So you mentioned access a few times, and I told you I feel like that's going to be the term people use to say access mean my dad got it from me, or I got it from my dad. Even though you're saying it in a different way, I understand what you mean. When you look at today's issue, I guess whatever. I don't know if you're a big fan of this guy or not, but you got LeBron and Bronny, right? And so people, you know, say, oh, well, he wouldn't be in the NBA if it wasn't for his dad.
Yeah.
That's his access.
Yeah, that's it.
So do you feel like you resonate with that of Bronny? Like, not NBA, of course, but I'm just saying in the sense of like people feeling like you only here because of this person.
Man, I used to say sometimes like closeted thoughts, right? Of course, not audible thought, not audibly, but closeted thoughts. I would be like, man, why y'all mad because I got a daddy? You know what I'm saying? Like, why y'all mad? Because I got a daddy that's gonna do right by me and he gonna turn every stone to make sure I get opportunities that I want.
Like a dad should do.
Yeah, like if we riding in the car and I say, hey, Dad, I want to do this, and he got access to it, he gonna be like, nah, get it out the mud. Like, that's dumb.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think in society, because it's so many of us that maybe we idolize things that it's like it's coveted for us as well. We idolize it because we really don't want to do that. We had to do that.
That's it.
So like, you know, it's like, but like you said, if it's a thing where you can have your dad or your mom, whoever, get that for you,
That's it.
that's what they're here for.
That's it.
It's kind of like you be like, so your dad can't do that for you? That's crazy. Like, then you the bad guy if you say that, right? You know, it's like, well, why your dad can't do it?
And that's the thing. You know what I mean? I'd have had a whole lot of fades if I'd have actually said that at some point. You know what I'm saying? But the reality of it is, at that young age, what did I try to do? And I'm sure there's probably a lot of people on the other side of this camera that will watch this interview that can say this. I lended my dad as that access to other people too. Just knowing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, hey, there's a ton of opportunities I got. Hey man, come. Hey, we going to so and so. Come with us.
But see, I like to use the word access versus privilege, because privilege seemed like you weren't deserving of it.
Yeah, nah.
You know, access is like, I'm doing this, so this is afforded to me.
Bingo.
You know, it's like I'm not trash. You know, I'm not no scrub. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I like about it. But it made me think of the Bronny thing. I'm like, I wonder what he think about this, because even Bronny, he's killing the G League.
Not trash, bro. Not to mention, like, I say this all the time, right? When it comes to, because I've been around a ton of really, really good basketball players. I've coached, you know, pros, kids, and this, that, and the other. Like, I've done that, right? And I tell people all the time, bro, like, that kid is good. You just know who his daddy is.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, his dad don't deliver mail. His dad don't, you know what I'm saying? His dad ain't no pastor. His dad ain't no substitute teacher. His dad plays basketball. So therefore, you're going to hold him to that standard of him having, like, because again, back to the word, because of the access that he has, he got to be way better than what we think that kid should be, right?
You got to think too, he's playing against NBA players most of his life. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he's even afforded these opportunities that we don't know nothing about.
That's it.
It's not always cameras that where he at. You know what I'm saying? But I look at him as somebody who work his ass off for the most part. So I just, I'm a big LeBron fan, but I just felt like, why not? Why would I hold my son back? Hey, you know what? You got to get it your own self, man. Like, hey, I know I could do it for you, but I can't. That's dumb.
So I coached, I coached Dr. J's son in high school.
Which one?
Jules.
The one that went to
the one that went to Cowwood.
Okay.
Yeah. So I coached him at Holy Innocents. And I used to tell him all the time, you know the best thing you can do? Not be your dad's son. And there's no possible way that you can do that. You're not a bad basketball player. You ain't your dad, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and we can even look at it from a lower level, right? Like, you got, like Piggy's son, for instance, right? Like, people expect him to be who he is because of who his daddy is, right? Luckily enough, he lived up to it. Kid can play basketball.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But guess why he can play basketball? Because of his access. Right? His father owns the gym. He's able to get in the gym consistently. He uses that access to his advantage. He doesn't take advantage of his access. You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
And so you got a lot of people out here that take advantage of their access, and those are the people that kind of get the bad rap. You know what I'm saying? But again, like it's one of those things where, like Bronny's not the best basketball player, and you know what I mean? But guess what? He's actually really, really good.
Yeah.
Right? He gets on the NBA floor and he holds his own.
So as far as the training portion, I do got a question about that because I had Dawn said, I'm about to interview, Vincent. He said, he good. He don't have nothing but good thing to say about you. Describe me, like, what do you think the purpose of a trainer is? As a trainer, what is your purpose to a player, athlete, or whatever?
So when I first got into training, like I thought about that. It wasn't necessarily something that I just kind of like dove into and just started doing. I thought about like what is my mission as a trainer, and so for me it's teach children the necessary skills to have the confidence and the success that they should in their respective sport, right? And so when I started out, I was doing not only just basketball, but I was doing strength and agility and all of that different type of stuff as well. So I work with some football players, baseball players, and different things of that nature.
So you do different sports too. You're not just doing one sport.
At that time, I later kind of got into more of a niche market of just basketball and just on court training. Just because, again, it was stuff that I knew about, but it wasn't stuff that I was an expert in. So I was like, let me take my hand off that before I ruin somebody's kid.
Well, I want to ask you, like, what as a trainer, what is your pitch? What do you sell yourself on? I ask this because, hearing your story and talking to you, of course, it's still amazing. But I'll use my brother, because I know, for example, my brother, right? So you might have a person that wants to train with him strictly because he got pictures with Steph Curry. Oh, he played against Lonzo Ball. And he did it. So it's like it's the accolades that the person or the player, athlete, is looking at, like, he must be a good trainer per se, right? Bingo. So what is it you hanging your hat on as a trainer? Because you not saying you yourself are competing, but it's competitive, at least in the sense like I want to train this kid. I want to train this kid. Then you got kids want to go certain places, but you can't. You can say I want to say championship. You can say that, but you're also very honest. You're like, hey, I won, but I ain't really, So like, what do you sell yourself on as far as training? In today's culture, mind you.
Yeah. So for me, it's just like, and I could name drop a ton of people, like people that I've coached, people that I've trained, different things of that nature. I could do that. And if you get close enough to me, you'll probably hear some of those names, right? But for me, the selling point is, hey man, at some point your kid is going to have to do the small stuff, and I am going to teach them the small stuff. Like what we do as far as training is going to be rooted in the fundamentals. Like I pretty much have a slogan in my training. We're going to get bored with the basics, bro. We're just going to keep doing the basics over and over again.
Explain that a little bit. I like that. Say that one more time.
So, bored with the basics. So, in the game of basketball, there are only a few things that you're going to do consistently. And that's, dribble, pass, shoot, rebound, defend, right? And we can get into like the nuance of all of those things. But, hey, in my training, we're going to talk about footwork. and we're gonna really dig into footwork. We're gonna work on basic dribbling, getting from one spot to the next. We're gonna work on foot placement. We're gonna work on your pull-up jumper. Like, you ain't gonna come, like, I got another saying when it comes to training with me. I'm here for you to improve, not for me to impress you. Right? So we're not gonna do a whole bunch of dancing and this, that, and the other. Like, people come in my gym, like, people come in the gym and train with me. And, I've had a few. I even shot one of my guys out, right? My guy Eric, right? I started training his son when he was in 6th grade. And he later played for me, still plays for me now. A kid by the name of Kobe Sims, really, really good basketball player.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Play at Fox Creek?
Yeah, plays at Fox Creek. Yeah.
I interviewed him years ago.
Okay, yeah, that's my guy, man.
He's at the net competition.
Yeah, that's like my godson, nephew, all that, right?
Good kid.
Me and his mom went to high school together, the whole nine. And so when I first started training him, and he had worked with a few different, people, and he was a pretty good basketball player by 6th grade, in all accounts, 6th grader, right? And we sat there and we worked on footwork, and we worked on dribbling, and we worked on foot placement, jab steps, form shooting, all of that. And I remember during the middle of one of the workouts, Eric pulled me to the side and he was like, "Hey man, you know he better than that, right?" And I was like, "Not if he can't keep doing this stuff continuously. Like, I'm not concerned with if he can do it. I'm concerned with if he can't."
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not concerned with can he do it once. I'm concerned with after doing it 50 times, does he get bored? Right? Like, focus on the process. Right? And so that's a lot of kind of what we do. And, when I work with guys, it's like get them to kind of narrow in to not look at the picture and landscape, right? Like where I want to go, who I want to be. I want to score 30. I want to be able to do all of the stuff, right? But like, can you do these things repeatedly? Can you can you dribble in a straight line with either hand up the floor? Can you dribble in a straight line with pressure? Can you catch, rip, go in a direction, get 2 feet in the paint and make a decision? Right? Whether that's shot, whether that's kick to the corner, whether that's, kick off to the dunker man, whether that's pivot, all of those different things. Because guess what? In a, let's say you play a game and the average high school game probably has anywhere from 60 to 90 possessions or something like that, right? If you play a ton of minutes, out of those 80 possessions, let's just say 80 possessions, out of those 80 possessions, how many times are you going to do a up and under reverse layup spin move? Once, bro. So at this point, like, you're a magician. You can only do like a trick once. And then after the show's over, they're like, okay, so what else do you do?
Yeah.
I pulled a rabbit out the hat. You know what I mean? It's like, nah, bro, like, I want to see what you can do. I want to see if you can do those basic things over and over again. Because once the rubber meet the road, and most kids' plan is to, go to a high school, have success at a high school, possibly go to college and have success at the college level. Once you get to those places, man, like, if you can't do the basics, you can't have a ton of success.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. Like, because everybody good when you get there. Everybody good when you get to college. So can you do that other stuff that's going to separate you and keep you on the floor? Because a college coach ain't concerned with your bag. He wants his offense ran. He don't care how many times you go between the legs and bing, 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 bop, 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 spin move. Come on. All right, cool. That's cool. But can you get the ball from one side of the floor to the other without turning it over? Can you get the ball in the hands of the guy who, scored the basketball? If you're the guy that scores the basketball for us, how efficient do you do it? And how quick do you do it? Because guess what? In the state of Georgia, you got a shot clock. You ain't got a bunch of time to dance.
Yeah.
Once you get to college, you got a shot clock. You ain't got a bunch of time to dance. There's other guys that's on the floor that need to touch, feel the ball for rhythm and all of that different type of stuff. And if we got to wait on you to do all your dancing, you're not going to play long.
One thing I will say that you mentioned just now with that, and this is to kind of bring back to that era, the reason why I think I liked Reggie Middleton so much.
Oh man, he mastered it, dog.
Because he was never fancy.
He mastered
that fly fancy stuff was not his game.
He mastered it, bro.
You can give him the ball and somebody can guard him 94 feet.
He mastered it.
He will dribble with either hand, left or right.
He mastered it, bro.
And get an and one just from dribbling and you putting pressure on him.
Is it?
but just his will, his strength, his ball control, his body control, all in one swift motion. Just go down there.
it.
Nothing fancy. I ain't gonna head fake. I ain't hesitant. I'm just going straight to the basket. And I see him do that time after time again.
That's it. And that's why guys like that, like in hindsight, right? Of course, you know, when you watching, you ain't watching through that lens, like the lens that I look
It's
at a game
all about
through
the
now.
lens.
Yeah, bingo.
I like that as trainers. Trainers give you a different lens. It's like you put on glasses for kids. Okay, try these glasses now. Try these glasses now. Try these glasses now. And the goal is that they can look at the game because it's all different perspectives and way you look at the game. Just looking at it from a point of who's fancy, that's cute. That's it. Sell tickets.
But
That's
it ain't
it.
sustainable.
That's all. Bring them in. Bring them in the door.
That's it. It's like that Chinese food that you talked about earlier.
That's exactly
right?
like the Chinese food. Sesame chicken wings.
That's it.
That's it.
You hungry later, bro.
You still hungry?
You hungry later. You hungry while you ordering.
I'm trying to tell you.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like that's why, you know, a guy like Reggie was able to put his imprint. Like I've never seen a game that Reggie Middleton played in where he didn't have his imprint on the game.
Me neither. Ever.
There's never been a time where I saw a Reggie Middleton game. Shout out to my guy, man.
Shout out to Reggie.
He don't get enough credit for that. Like I think a lot of people give him credit for being good, but I don't think people get into the nuance of why he was so good. And it had nothing to do, like Reggie wasn't the best shooter, he'll tell you. Right? And he and I have those conversations all the time.
As he got older, and like his senior, he shot wisely.
That's it. He ain't shoot a ton of shots.
Yeah. Now, I saw him in 10th grade. 10th grade, he was going crazy. But I think the hype had got to him.
Yeah.
But then you reel back and you like, okay.
Yeah.
But seeing him play 12th grade, 11th grade, watching him play.
Yeah,
like,
no,
oh,
he
this
put
guy's
his
amazing.
imprint on everything. Like it was, you know what I mean? And because he knew he was one of the first people that I saw in our age group of doing less to get more.
Less was more. Yes.
Right? Less to
Yes.
get more. Because again, you had like, you know, during that era, we had some really, really good basketball players, right? You had the guys at Josie, you had, you know, PJ Head, Tremaine,
Yeah, all three of
Robert, those guys. You know, those guys, you walked in that gym, they shooting from the volleyball line, they shooting from the eagle head, like all of that, right?
I think Laney, you had Saab, Dorian Saab, Laney.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you had
like-
some guards, some places there.
Yeah,
Darius
so-
at Butler.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And
A lot
so
of dribbling though.
all of those guys had different elements and different substance to their games, right? Like Reggie and Tremaine mastered pace at that age, right? They were never in a hurry.
Yeah.
You weren't gonna rush them. You weren't gonna hurry him up. Shout out Tremaine. He don't get enough.
I was just talking
He don't
last
get his
week.
just due
Yeah, he don't.
in those conversations, right? Tremaine mastered pace. You weren't never gonna get on Tremaine hip and make him go somewhere faster or somewhere he didn't want to go. You weren't gonna do that with Reggie. You know, is a move that they call like a snake dribble now, and putting a guy in jail, right? Where you blow by a guy and instead of keep going, you run in his path and you keep him from getting in front of you. Man, Reggie killed that.
Yep. Yep.
Right? And what he was doing was he was inevitably just making y'all play 5-on-4.
That's it.
Dominating the game by not feeling like, oh, I gotta break you down, pull back, break you down again, pull back, break you down again, shoot in your face to have my imprint on the game. It was like, I can give you one move, go by you. The goal is to get 2 feet in the paint, make everybody else help, spray the shooters, get the ball to guys, high percentage game. And I mean, 19 points in the state championship? And probably didn't go between his legs, but maybe
ain't do all
five,
that,
6
yeah.
times. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
shout out to
saying?
Reggie.
And that's why he was able to have the success that he had in college.
Definitely
Right?
shout
And
out to
then,
him.
but then, you know, you also got guys like PJ, who I felt like all of the stuff that he had to his game, he had to do.
Yeah, because he
You know
was
what I'm
shorter
saying?
too.
Yeah,
but
right.
we talk about fundamentals. Reggie fundamentals with the handles was good, but PJ fundamentally shooting wise, he's a fundamental shooter.
Come on, bro.
Like
Come on,
his
bro.
shooting
Like
is
pound
fundamental.
for pound,
He's never not gonna snap his wrist.
pound for pound, the best scorer
Oh, definitely, definitely.
in this, like
In that
pound for
era,
pound.
definitely,
Like
definitely.
put the ball in the bucket, any kind of way you want it, finish. Don't care nothing about your size.
At a
Use
high
all
level,
of the
though,
stuff.
you know,
Yeah,
like, percentage gonna be high. He not
That's it. He
shooting
ain't- yeah.
20, 30, 40.
That's it.
It's 60 and up.
that's it.
So
That's
yeah,
it.
definitely shout out to him, man. Definitely.
That's it.
Definitely. Just before we go, like,
Yeah.
any advice you want to give to the kids out there now, like as a trainer, as a former player, any kind of advice, whether it be,
Yeah.
you know, keep your head up. You don't have to be the best player on the team, whatever. Like, cause you got your story a little different than most people's.
Yeah, for sure.
We talked a whole lot about, you know, you not even being the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But just what you learn from all of that, you know? So what advice can you give to any young players out there trying to play now?
Master the basics. Fall in love with the process, right? Like, again, like I kind of alluded to it earlier when you were like, the just got good guys, right? And I was like, nah, I got worse, right? And I was like, you know, if you would have seen me in 5th, 6th grade, 7th grade, you know, dribble with two balls, all the stuff, finish with my left hand, could shoot it, all of the stuff. I had all of the basics. Probably wasn't battle tested enough, like I said, playing in a little cupcake league and, you know, all of that different type of stuff. But I wasn't engulfed in the process. I only cared about the results. Oh, I had 20. I had 30. I had this. I had that. I had this. Only the results. Only to figure out at a later age, you don't control the results. Right? Because guess what? All of that, the 24 a game in this league quickly turned into a bunch of turnovers and getting bullied off the basketball. I don't control the results. You know what I'm saying? But I allowed the results that were fool's gold to dictate how hard I worked.
How can you get, or what I just wait, like, how can you get players, parents, definitely parents, players to look at the game through a different lens? Because a lot of times somebody call, hey, we won that game. How many points you had? Mm-hmm. That's the first question you get asked. Mm-hmm. You know, you say 6. It's like, oh, we have a better game next time. But you could have had 6. You could lock down your defender. Yeah. You could have had the play of the game and steal of the game. You could have had the winning assist. It's a lot that come with that 6 points you probably had. Yeah. Last 6 points of the game, who knows? 6 free throws at the end of the game, who knows? You know? Yeah. Hit that 6, you're like, oh, okay. Well, that's better next time. So how can we get players, parents, or whoever to like just know that there are different ways to view the game and impact the game, and how can you get players to be okay with that? Like also like, you know, champion the fact that, okay, yeah, I had 6 points, but how did these 6 points come about? You know? I
wish I had a deep answer for you. You can't. You can't, right? Like, just is what it is. Again, access, man. Like, everybody don't see behind the veil. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, when somebody like myself comes and gives you a peek behind that veil and says, hey, none of that stuff really matters. Your kid needs a little more substance, right? Like, at 22, he just had, nobody cares because there's a whole bunch of stuff that he just still can't do. Yeah, that they're gonna want him to do at the next level.
You shot 40 times.
Come on, man. Dance with the ball too much. Couldn't guard.
9 turnovers.
Yeah, all of the junk that coaches are just like, yeah, that lemon ain't worth the squeeze.
I just feel like that's where trainers come into play. Not that it's all on y'all, but I feel like you can sometimes you can tell when somebody is trained. We use the word trained. I just feel like you can tell sometimes. Some people just talent. It's talent. They're just nice. I always tell Dawn, I said high school. Your high school career is great for what it was, but obviously you had a higher volume of shooting. You had more things you can do, as opposed to being in the setting where, okay, well, JUCO, let me sit me down. I'm gonna play a different position, shoot less shots, be more efficient, attack the game a different way. And it's like, you was a different player. Yeah, you weren't scoring 40, but you still did it. But that wasn't your goal. But you got it in your bag. Yeah. Which is why, like, it's okay not to always score. Just know you can do it if you need to be.
Because I've actually been talking to a few players, kids about that recently. Like, nobody cares. Like, if you ask any college guys, right? Like any of the guys that have gone to college, that's like one of the first things that the coach does. Like, not actually, right? But if we can like get into the mind and kind of like play around a little bit, right? Like, one of the first things when you get on campus, and I'm sure Don can tell you the same thing. First thing you get on campus, they like, hey, hand me that bag you got. And they like, all right, you won't need that. You won't need this. You won't need this. You won't need this. Yep, you won't need that. We're going to put this here. Just if you stay long enough, you'll get to do that. You can use that when you're a senior. All right, take that bag back and do that stuff. And they're like, dang, coach, man, you took all my stuff out of my bag. I don't need that. I got a guy that does that already. What I need that for?
Yeah, I hear that a lot, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, because, again, their job is to win games. Mm-hmm. So you and your bag losing them games You're not finna go tell that man wife he ain't got no job because I was in my bag.
And that's why I say
He gonna empty that bag or get rid of you. One of the two.
I mentioned the lens part too because I think even young, I remember seeing, I'll use Rod Hall.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing Rod go to Clemson.
Straight to the point,
I'm
dog.
whoa, why he not scoring 25?
Straight to the point.
But they didn't need him to do that at Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't what he came to Clemson to do. But the lens, I'm like, damn, he must have fell off because we look when he did in high school. But no, he gotten better as a player.
But I'll do you one better too, though, right? So another thing that I talk about with players and parents all the time is your relationship with the truth, right? Like, again, ask any college coach, ask any kid that has went to college and played at a higher level, what those coaches how those coaches talk to you, how they talk about you, how they treat you, how much of it is a business, right? And so that's the first time that you're gonna hear the raw, unadulterated truth.
Everybody can't take it.
And so what is your relationship with the truth? Because if the first time that you hear the real truth is 300 miles away from home and you ain't had a home cooked meal and your teammates is like, nah, we don't really rock with bro like that. He all right, whatever. And you like, bro. And coach hating on me. Like now all of a sudden it's coach hating on me. And it's like, nah, bro, your coach, your high school coach, your AAU coach, your trainer didn't tell you the truth. Or they only told you their truth because they never saw behind the veil either. Right? So let's go back to Rod Hall. Who was Rod Hall's coach?
Atlanta, right? Mm-hmm. I remember the guy.
Coach Buck.
Coach Buck?
I believe so. I'm almost 100% certain.
Okay.
Could be wrong. But I'm sure there was some time split there, I believe.
Okay.
With Rod Hall, right? But even if it wasn't, you had guys that he played AAU for, right? Sean Mims, Kurt Wheeler, those guys that had seen behind the veil and knew what college basketball looked like. And they said, hey, yeah, you can do all of this at high school, right? And it's going to be easy for you to do that at high school, getting 24, getting 29, getting 27, putting your imprint on the game. But when you go to college, you're going to have to be okay with playing a role, right? And so 9 times out of 10, when he stepped in that, and I hate to speak for him, but 9 times out of 10, when he stepped in on that practice floor for the first time and they said, hey, this is what you want to do, that wasn't his first time hearing the truth. And so far too many times, guys hear the truth at the wrong time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'd much rather...
That could be a lot to handle for a young kid because they still kids at the time.
Yeah, and so, and it's another thing too, right? Like, and again, like I was... During my time at Morehouse, I was a psychology major. I took a lot of psychology classes, like bunched them up all together because I had come from South Georgia Tech where I had done a bunch of my other classes. So I was able to just load in some psychology classes and stuff like that. And so, I've kind of, almost YouTube tutorialed and life tutorialed myself through being almost a sports psychologist, right? Not licensed by any means, but just kind of, I've been around it long enough to just know what my experiences are, all of those different things. And so what I try to tell people a lot too, man, like not only that relationship with the truth, but there's, how can I say this? There's this element of like, as a parent, as a coach, trainer, whatever that looks like the kid is an egg, right? And whoever that kid's village, trainer, coach, parents, all of that, handler, AAU coach, all of the people in the village, they got a responsibility, right? And they got to come to the conclusion, how are we going to make this egg? Mm-hmm. Are we going to treat this egg like a raw egg? And we're going to treat it fragile. And we're going to hope it never cracks. And we're going to keep it out of situations where people tell him the truth and maybe he's cracked. Because after he cracks, he's not useful. Or are we going to hardball it? We're going to put it under tons of pressure. And by the time it gets away from us and it has to be what it is, you can't penetrate it. And guess what? if you do crack a hard-boiled egg shell, guess what? It's still useful.
Yeah, definitely.
You can eat a boiled egg. You can make potato salad. You can make tuna salad. You can do a ton of things with a boiled egg. There's only one thing that you can, there's only two things you can do with a scrambled egg. With a cracked egg, a cracked raw egg. Scramble it, throw it in the trash. Right? And so guys are getting to school, getting away from home, getting into these situations where they're fragile eggs and can't nobody touch them and can't nobody drop them and you can't say nothing to them and coaches ain't concerned with that, man. These college coaches are not concerned with your ego and keeping your ego intact. They got a job to do, period, point blank. They got a job to do. And so whatever I got to do and say to get the best out of you, whether it's knock on that egg until it shatters to get what I need out of it, I'll do that. And so far too many times, kids are being coddled, kids aren't being told the truth. By the time they get to their destination, and you got these raw eggs that just get cracked and you don't know what to do with them. And they like, oh man, I'm gonna come back home because coach wasn't messing with me. It's like, nah, bro, coach wasn't not messing with you, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, coach kind of figured out he got sold the lemon, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yo.
Like, coach, you got there and coach figured out he got sold the lemon, bro.
I like that though.
You know what I'm saying?
But if we spoke about some things, I know we prep time on that, but it's a bunch of things we spoke about. But like, there has to be a deeper conversation about all of the politics that surround the game. I mean, not just the player, the player, the parents, the coaches, the people who hire the coaches, people who control certain people's jobs and things of that nature. Because you got some coaches who can't treat this like a lemon because they're told, hey, this is what we're doing. So now their job is in the chokehold. And that's relationship is strained there from the player coach or the parent who's overly aggressive and talking. Now that was strained here. There's so many different ways you can look at it. Just like look at the game in different lenses. Looking from the floor to the stands is like another thing as well. So all that stuff kind of make the game go around.
We got to do it.
But that'd be dope to have a dope conversation with like multiple people in that. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody can speak from different perspectives.
Yeah, I would definitely love to either be in the midst of it or be a fly on the wall or whatever that looks like to kind of hear what parents' perspectives are. The helicopter parents that hover over hey, I'd much rather my kid be a fragile egg than a boiled egg. Like I'm gonna protect them at all costs and this, that, and the other. Whatever that looks like. But, again, man, like once you get to school, man, like I said, if coach figure out he got a lemon, bro, he gonna sell it back if he can. You know what I'm saying? And that just is what it is, and it ain't.
One good way to do that, get you a trainer, man. Start my guy Vince. Get you a trainer, truth teller, trainer.
Man. And again, man, like it's tough though. It's tough. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, come to me, I'll get you. Nah, bro, I ain't finna sit here and say that. Like, I've been a part of a good bit of kids' processes, right? Some kids that have gone pro, all of those different things. I've been a part. And like I always say, man, you need a couple chefs.
Definitely.
Right? And so like Anthony Edwards, for instance, right? I coached him in middle school and known him since he was 11 years old. Am I the reason Ant-Man went pro? No. I stirred the pot. I didn't add too much salt. I didn't try to go against the grain on the recipe of the chef that was there before me. I didn't hate on the chef that had to come in and stir the pot afterwards. I did my job. I got out of the way.
You did your part.
That's it. And so you'll never see me be like, oh yeah, Ant-Man, that's my product. Yo, that's my little brother. Known him, happy for him, love his success, all of that different type of stuff. I had a tiny, small, very, very small, in the grand scheme of things, bit to do with where he is now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it just is what it is. But then there's some that I've been the sole chef on. You know what I'm saying? That, or I've been the lead chef rather, not the sole chef, because everybody's played for somebody else. Whatever that looks like. But I wish it was that easy, but unfortunately our game has been, the game of basketball has been perverted. Like I say all the time, like anything that's profitable can and will be perverted. And so, we look at youth sports, we look at the church, you know what I'm saying? Like anything that you can try to make a profit off, they're gonna pervert it. You know what I'm saying? Music business, entertainment industry, all of that. Anytime you can make a profit, like, because again, as the Bible says, like, the love of money is the root of all evil. So you bring in people that love money, right? They didn't say money is the root of all evil, but the love is. So you bring in people that love money, then that come to evil.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's something so innocent as youth sports, you bring in people that love money, follows evil, bro. And so whatever I got to do, whatever I got to say to keep them pockets padded, if I got to lie to the mom, I got to lie to the dad, if I got to, rob Peter to pay Paul, if I got to lie to this person, tell this person that, blah, 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 this, that, and the other to keep them pockets padded and make sure I do what I do. And not to say that there's a ton of people out here getting rich off of youth sports, but that's the illusion. You know what I'm saying? So you do have some people that's like, hey man, dude over there doing this thing or whatever. You don't realize, bro, that bro got another job, bro saving up, whatever that looks like, bro, good with his money, whatever. He got a sponsorship from Nike. That ain't his money he's spending, whatever that looks like. But then you got another guy that's like, I know a little bit about basketball. Let me get my hands on that. I can run up the bands real quick. You know what I'm saying? Let me overcharge these kids. Whatever that looks like. Let me, $80 training sessions and all we do is shoot 4 times and do a bunch of ball handling. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but hey, they're gonna give you a highlight tape. I got your highlight tape.
Come on, bro. I got
get to you in 10 minutes.
That's it.
Slow motion.
That's it. You know what I'm saying? So
you don't see the move finish.
That's it. Because it's turnover.
You ever see a game and like what happened?
That's it. And then it hard cut away, clean. I'm talking about clean cut away. And you're like, yeah, he missed out.
Yeah, man.
And I love to see the highlights of games that I was at.
Yeah, to see
those are the best.
What illusion they creating.
Come on, man. You're like, hold on, he did that? And I'm like,
it ain't even highlights no more.
Yeah, come on, bro. That's it. Right? And so, it again, you can cut it and slice it however you want to, whatever side you want it.
I think this was dope. I think I gotta somehow, some way try to get a sports show. I think it's a lot of sports talk, and that not just basketball, just in general.
Yeah, period. Yeah.
I see that in beef with youth sports and the little league football stuff. Coaches going back and forth, but they make it more about themselves than the actual players, and it's just like, what's going on here? So you said a lot, and I know we talk about basketball. It really goes into all these sports though. So I got to find a way to kind of get that combo flowing somehow, some way.
I got some ideas.
Yeah, man. We'll talk. You got my number too. So.
Yeah.
But definitely, man, I appreciate you coming through. This is a dope episode of that podcast. Bro. Definitely different because, like I said, normally somebody come on, you're highlighting them for all these crazy things they've done, but this was just more like truth. Like this is what's real. This is real. Right. This is equivalent to me. Like I feel like if I interview a mayor or somebody in office, it's interviewing them when they done with their term.
Yeah.
Like I got so much truth. Yep. It's some hard even to get ex-players that still got a quote unquote name because they still trying to protect that name. They living in these glory days where it's like you just so truthful with your career. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I said. Like I teach at Laney, right? And someone like, man, you so good. Why you ain't go pro? Because I wasn't good enough, bro. Like, I'm not finna sit here and be like, oh, I was the man. Coach was hating on me or this, that, bro. Y'all can go look it up at this point. I'm not finna be that guy. You know what I mean? Like I squeezed my lemon, bro. And that's going back to kind of what you said, the best way that I can give advice to those those up and coming kids, those kids that are coming up next. Squeeze your lemon, man. Like figure it out, get the most that you can out of your lemon, right? And for me, I'm gonna take it a step further. Like it ain't necessarily got to just be like squeeze the lemon and get lemon juice. You know what I'm saying? Like take the seeds out, plant a lemon tree, zest it, make some lemon pepper wings.
That's access. That's the ass you're talking about though. You got the lemon, right? You got the lemon there. It's what you do with it.
That's it. You know what I'm saying? Like get the most that you can out of it, and don't like. Another thing too, man. And this will probably have to be it, right? But I'm gonna say this: like being a college athlete or being a pro athlete should not be your plan A. I'm sorry to whoever that disturbs. That should not be your plan A.
What's your plan A be?
Getting an education.
I like that. I like that.
All right.
I like
use,
that.
Use the game for the experiences, right? But when we talk about the numbers, right, and it's a numbers game. When we talk about the numbers, right, and I could pull it up if I needed to, but I'll just kind of throw some numbers out there, right? Less than 1% of varsity starters, right? Less than 1% of varsity starters. So I've had the opportunity to talk to young athletes before at camps and different things of that nature. And I always ask the question, right? Raise your hand if you know somebody that's in the NBA. Very few hands raised. Like, actually, no, right? Not your mama used to babysit and went, like, actually, like, you can call them, whatever, right? Raise your hand if you know somebody in the NBA. Very few hands go up, right? All right, name somebody that has won the Mega Millions lottery. Same amount of hands go up. The numbers are darn near the same. You playing the lottery, bro.
That's deep.
You playing the lot, like, so let's flip it on its head here. If you ask somebody, you just ask the kid that's not an athlete, hey, what are you gonna do for the rest of your life? I'm gonna win the lottery and get rich.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, like, yeah, you can play the lottery. That don't mean you're gonna win. You can play basketball. That don't mean you're going pro. That don't mean somebody gonna pay for your education. Right? Like, squeeze the lemon. Do all the work. Work on your game. Try your absolute best to get to that. I'm not saying don't shoot for it. I'm saying don't be that guy or that girl that gets to the finish line of basketball and have nothing else to show for it but some stats and some newspaper clips.
I like
That's
that.
it.
That's deep.
That's
I like
it.
that. I like that, man.
That's it. Get the
like
most
that.
out of it, man. Because everybody in the process is gonna get the most out of you. You get the most out of it.
That's a fact. Look, man, I appreciate you coming through, man. More Masters Podcast, we out. This was a dope episode, real dope episode, by the way. I knew it was gonna be dope, though. But dope episode, man. You did a great job. Appreciate you for coming through. And I wish you nothing but success. You know
Appreciate
what I'm
you,
saying? And I like how you flipped access. That was dope. This was a dope
appreciate
episode,
it.
man. Appreciate you. More Masters Podcast, we out. That was good.
Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it.
That was good.